This is a story about a wonderful turtle, a very special owl, 3 marvelous elephants, and a boy named David who didn't know how to follow instructions. He really didn't. For instance, at home, his mother once told him how to mail a letter.
Fold it, put it into the envelope, seal the envelope.
But David started to work before his mother finished. So he didn't hear her say,
Be sure to put on a stamp.
Because he didn't pay attention to instructions all the way, he often did things wrong. Yes, he forgot to put on the stamp. Once, David's friend Alan was giving him instructions on how to play checkers.
You can't move straight ahead, only like this or like this.
But because David never asked questions when he didn't really understand something, he often did the wrong things, like moving the checker straight ahead. In school, David often got instructions from his teacher.
First, fold your paper in half. Then, write your story on the bottom. Then, draw a picture on the top.
But David sometimes didn't remember to follow the instructions in the right order. He was supposed to fold the paper first, then write the story, and then draw the picture last. And so, once again, David was doing something wrong. You see, he wasn't going to have enough room for his story. David just didn't know how to follow instructions. Of course, he wasn't the only one. That was why David's teacher decided that the children needed help in learning to follow instructions.
There are 3 things you have to do to follow instructions correctly. You have to pay attention, understand, remember.
If only David could remember those words. Pay attention, understand, remember. He tried to think about the words at home while he was playing with his toy animals. Just then, something very strange happened. His very special, marvelous animal spoke to him. His wonderful turtle said,
Pay attention.
That was part of following instructions. Pay attention. Now David remembered. But that wonderful turtle said more than just that. It said,
Pay attention all the way.
And his very special owl said,
Understand.
That was part of following instructions, too. But the very special owl said more than that. It said,
Understand or ask questions.
And his 3 marvelous elephants said,
Remember.
Of course, he remembered. But his 3 marvelous elephants said more than that. They said,
Remember the order of the instructions.
And they showed him what they meant. Not 3, 1, 2. Not 2, 3, 1. But like this. 1, 2, 3. So, how do you follow instructions?
Pay attention all the way.
Understand or ask questions. Remember the order of the instructions. 1, 2, 3.
And to make sure that David wouldn't forget how to follow instructions, his animals said they would help him whenever he needed them. The next day was Saturday. David was watching his mother make some cookies. Mother was following the instructions in a recipe. She had put out everything she needed to make the cookies. No, wait, there aren't any nuts. Aren't there supposed to be nuts? Suddenly, there was David's wonderful turtle. Only David could see it. It said,
"Pay attention all the way."
Did his mother leave out nuts because she hadn't paid attention all the way to her recipe? So David asked her, and Mother checked. She had overlooked the nuts. Later that day, David's little sister Laurie was upset because her crying doll wouldn't cry. The doll was the kind that cries tears if you give it water. David couldn't imagine why the doll wouldn't cry until his very special owl appeared. Only David could see it. It said,
Understand or ask questions.
Did Laurie understand all the instructions for making the doll cry? David asked his mother. Mother watched to see if Laurie was doing anything wrong. Laurie gave the doll water. That was right. Then Laurie turned the doll upside down. That was right. But Laurie didn't understand that she had to squeeze the doll. Now she understood the instructions. Now the doll cried tears. And Laurie was happy. The next day, while David's father was driving the family to a new picnic spot, he pulled off to the side of the road. They were lost. A neighbor had given David's father instructions for how to get there. David couldn't understand why they'd become lost until his 3 marvelous elephants appeared. They said,
Remember the order of the instructions. 1, 2, 3.
Had his father remembered the order? David asked him. Well, Father had turned left at the first stop sign, then right at the second stop sign. But when he checked the map, he saw that he should have turned right first, then left. Instead of being here, they were here. Well, they'd go back and make the turns in the right order. David had helped his father follow instructions. Perhaps now David would follow instructions better in school, too. The next day, David's teacher brought some fish to the classroom. They had to be fed once a day. Now she needed someone to feed them. Many wanted the job. The teacher picked David for the first week, and then she gave him instructions. His turtle appeared, but didn't stay long, because David was paying attention all the way, while his teacher said,
Feed the fish after you finish your work, David. Feed them 1 pinch of food.
Suddenly, David's owl was there, but he wasn't there for long, because David was going to ask a question. There was something he didn't understand.
How much is a pinch? This much. Feed this much once a day.
David understood now. He was glad that he'd asked a question. And he started to go feed the fish when his elephants appeared. But they didn't stay for long. because David had remembered the order of the instructions. He was supposed to finish his work first, then feed the fish. So that's what he did. David's teacher was pleased. David was really learning to follow instructions. And when David had finished his work, he fed the fish. Yes, David had learned to follow instructions. But what about you? Do you know how to follow instructions? It's easy.
Pay attention all the way.
Understand or ask questions.
And remember the order of the instructions. 1, 2, 3.
That's how to follow instructions.